Okay, and now we're back for part 5. And if you have seen other videos, you will know how I'm kind of reading it. If you haven't, I do recommend going to check them out because there is so much we are learning about this. But also to explain how we're doing it, basically what happens is Wayfarer in their motion for summary judgment submitted a Rule 56.1 statement, which I did go through at the time as a video for that. Here, each statement is kind of quoted. So if it's redacted in Wayfarer's original statement, it will be redacted here too. And that isn't Lively for a change, redacting. But then you get Lively's response underneath to whatever that statement is. Okay. I won't go over it more because hopefully someone will, hopefully nearly all of you will have seen at least one other video where I've explained how I've kind of gone about this particular format. So we're going to pick up where we left off. We are now on page 103 of 259 pages. Yeah, some of it is not fun or it's a bit boring. It's a bit repetitive in places too, but we are learning a lot. And getting, because there's been so little shared from Lively of her side of things, the text messages, the transcripts, everything's either not been shared, there's no evidence of anything, and everything's under seal pretty much from her. So we are now getting, really, for the first time, a proper glimpse into how she is explaining things, what her take is on it, I've agreed with some of the things that she said. I'm not, like, wholly like, no, I'm not even going to acknowledge where she's made a good point, a fair point. I have done that. I'm still not seeing anything that, leads me to think that she was sexually harassed or retaliated against for said behavior. I also think there's a lot of semantics going on, where Wayfarer is saying something, and then I've noticed then that she's saying it's undisputed as to, and then she's changing the words. I think one in the last video was they referred to the press junket Ryan Reynolds did with Brandon Sklenar and Hugh Jackman, that really weird press junket, and there was like Wayfarer basically alleging that Baldoni was excluded from it, and Lively kind of responded with undisputed as far as Baldoni did not appear, and it was made as if that was a choice that Baldoni had. So there is a lot of wordplay here and semantics. There's a lot of hair splitting as well, which I really don't like. And where she you'll see quite a lot actually where she has to admit something because she can't dispute it, because Wayfarer, like, the attached evidence to support it is there and it does support it. She is saying, well, it's undisputed, but court, I'm going to direct you back to the cited source for basically more context. So that's the gist of it, in case you have not seen any of the other videos. Okay, so let's continue. On August 4th, 2024, TAG employees exchanged messages discussing the redacted. Lively's response: undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source, but she refers the court to the cited source. Then next, on or about August 7th, 2024, additional cast members unfollowed Baldoni on social media at Lively's prompting, and then there's some stuff that's redacted. Her response: disputed. So then something's redacted. Then she says Sachs testified that she does not have knowledge whether Lively engaged in efforts to have casting crew defriend Mr. Baldoni on social media. But you can see here, right? Wayfarer have included an exhibit, at least there, this one, SPE, is Sony Pictures Entertainment. So that's from Sony. So there's something from Sony that they've attached. She has attached a part of a deposition transcript that Alex Sachs didn't have knowledge. Well, that's just Alex Sachs. Okay. Next, on August 8th, 2024, The Hollywood Reporter published an article entitled Did Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni have a rift over It Ends With Us? Sleuthing TikTokers think so. The article discussed Baldoni being excluded from press for the film and unfollowed by Lively and other cast members. Her response, undisputed. The referenced article was published and referenced Baldoni's notable absence from joint press events. The lack of group photos of Lively and Baldoni together at the premiere, and the fact that neither Lively, Hoover, nor the rest of the cast follow Baldoni on Instagram. Next, on or about August 8th, 2024, Lively's PR representative Leslie Sloan, redacted. Sloan testified, redacted. Her response, undisputed. The next point is entirely redacted because these are Leslie Sloan depositions that are being referenced, and we have not seen them. There are some exhibits that are sealed. Her response, undisputed that, and everything's redacted. Next one, on August 8th, 2024, everything's redacted. Lively, undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited sources, but Lively refers the court to the cited sources. Next, same day, redacted. Lively, undisputed. Next, Heath, Abel, and Nathan did not want to add fuel to the fire by prompting additional adverse media. In particular, they told Jones not to contact the press about Lively. Upon learning that Jones had done so on August 9th, 2024, Heath wrote to Jones, redacted. Lively, undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source, otherwise disputed because the document cited does not support the remaining assertions, including because redacted. Next, on August 9th, 2024, the Daily Mail published an article entitled Disturbing Truth Behind Why Blake Lively and Her It Ends With Us stars are feuding with Justin Baldoni. Okay. That article quoted sources asserting Baldoni was chauvinistic and borderline abusive on set. It also noted that rumors of a vicious feud between Lively and Baldoni had been swirling for weeks, with online sleuths highlighting how the on-screen love interests were not pictured together at the US premiere, while some cast members have blatantly swerved questions about the director. Lively, undisputed. Next, that day, redacted. Lively, undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source, and Lively refers the court to the cited source. The next point is redacted entirely. Lively, undisputed that on August 9th, 2024, redacted. On August 7th, 2024, Abel wrote to Nathan, I think we really need to put the social combat plan into motion. She noted that she was waiting on a green light from Heath to do so. Lively, undisputed that Abel wrote the quoted language to Nathan and instructed Nathan to call Jamie and get the green light. Next. On August 8th, Nathan proposed a quote for a new scope of work that included additional social media engagement. Lively, disputed. It was on August 5th, not August 8th, 2024, that Nathan sent Heath and Abel quotes for digital services, including for the creation of social fan engagement to go back and forth with any negative accounts, helping to change the narrative and stay on track. On or about August 9th, 2024, Wayfarer engaged Jed Wallace's firm Street Relations to monitor the social media discussion concerning Lively, Baldoni, and the film. Lively, disputed. The document-dependent site shows that it was on August 8th, not August 9th, that Nathan connected Heath and Jed Wallace over email, writing that redacted. I mean, they may have been connected on April 8th, but what Wayfarer is saying is that it was on or about August 9th, Wayfarer engaged Jed Wallace's firm. Nathan connected Heath and Jed Wallace over email, writing that redacted. By August 9th, 2024, Wallace reported to Wayfarer that his redacted. Next, Jed Wallace has testified that his firm did not surreptitiously spread negative information about Lively and has no ability to do so. And then there's something redacted. Okay. Lively's response, undisputed that Wallace testified as such, but plaintiff disputes the veracity of that testimony in light of extensive evidence indicating Wallace regularly offered and provided such services to clients and that Wallace orchestrated a digital smear campaign against Lively beginning in August 2024. Okay, and there's lots of exhibits that from Street that are redacted. There's a lot of exhibits, actually. Okay. Sorry, my cat's just come in the room. In August 2024, Baldoni himself repeatedly made positive comments about Lively in the press. Redacted. Sorry, her bell is not ringing on the collar. Okay. Lively's response. Undisputed that in response to a question about whether he would be directing the film sequel, Baldoni told Entertainment Tonight, "I think there are better people for that one. I think Blake Lively's ready to direct. That's what I think." Disputed that this comment can be characterized as a positive comment about Lively when the public connected this statement to rumors that said Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively wanted to take over the scripts or they made so many edits. So even when Baldoni has made a positive comment, she is still twisting it into a smear campaign, which is just pretty incredible. There is no pleasing people. Okay. Next, Melissa Nathan confirmed, redacted. Lively, undisputed that, redacted. Next point, on August 8th, 2024, Nathan also told her own sister, gossip reporter Sarah Nathan, that she had not contacted reporters on Baldoni's behalf and did not intend to do so. Lively, undisputed that Nathan told her sister that she had not contacted reporters on Baldoni's behalf, however, redacted. Next, entirely redacted. Lively, undisputed that, redacted. And we have exhibits from James Vituska in there. Look forward to reading that. There's another one who could say what could change his story depending on who he spoke to. Okay, next. As of August 11th, 2024, redact. Okay. On August 11th, 2024, the New York Times published an article entitled "What It Ends With Us Says About the Blake Lively Brand." The article discussed Lively's efforts to cross-promote the film and her personal hair care and alcohol brands, as well as her husband's brand of gin. I mean, how much of a fucking joke is that? What the hell has he got to do with this franchise? He's piggybacking on this to promote his brand of drink. For instance, it stated a promotional email explained how to make It Ends With Us inspired cocktails using Betty Buzz. One recipe called for Reynolds Gin. It's a cheery gimmick that seems awkwardly out of step with the context of the film itself, which tells the story of a woman dealing with domestic violence. Lively's performance is almost beside the point. Lively has transformed the project into film as commerce. There is no evidence that defendants played any role in this article. Okay. Her response, undisputed that this article was published or that the quoted language appears in the cited source, but Lively respectfully refers the court to the cited source. Next. On August 13th, 2024, redacted. Lively undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source alongside redacted. Okay. All right. Next, also on August 13th, sorry, my internet's jumping up and down a little bit. Also on August 13th, Nathan privately observed to Abel that there was a completely unsolicited story from TMZ. Blake has a huge ego. Justin Baldoni was liked by many cast and crew, and this is her ego being bruised. Abel responded, not from any of us. Nathan agreed, totally not from us. Abel concluded, these are clearly people on set coming out to defend Baldoni, which is good, and we just let them do their thing. Lively, undisputed, except as to the characterization as privately observed, because Heath was included in the text chain as well. Next. Same day, Lively wrote to another male cast member, redacted. The cast member responded, redacted. Disputed. The message Lively wrote was redacted. Next. On or about August 19th, 2024, redacted. Lively's response, disputed. On August 19th, 2024, an NBC reporter reached out about writing a story looking at how domestic violence survivors feel about the marketing around the film. The film's marketing strategy was developed by Sony and Wayfarer and was not Lively's preferred promotion. What? So, Wayfarer and Sony wanted to promote her and her husband's products, but she didn't. Sony and Wayfarer wanted her mother-in-law and Hugh Jackman in the promotion of a film, but not the film's male lead and director. Okay. Do we all believe that? Next, prior to these events, Lively had been criticised, redacted. I think that sentence, that finishes at the very correct point. Prior to these events, Lively had been criticised. It needs nothing more. Okay, next. Lively, disputed that, redacted. Undisputed that, redacted. Next. Prior to these events, Lively had also been criticised for problematic on-set behaviour while working on the TV show Gossip Girl. Lively's third amended responses to Wayfarer Studios' second set of interrogatories. These criticisms resurfaced. Lively, undisputed that on January 7th, 2024, a TikTok user posted a clip of a May 17th interview with commentary about Lively's alleged problematic on-set behaviour without any supporting evidence or foundation. She wants to talk about a lack of supporting evidence. She's making this lawsuit without any supporting evidence or foundation. And that on August 10th, Abel redacted Wayfarer Exhibit 195. Disputed to the extent that this fact suggests that there were any prior independent criticisms of Lively's on-set behaviour by anyone who worked with her. She's disputing that, of which there is no competent evidence. Right. Defendants were redacted. The next one is entirely redacted. For instance, redacted. Lively. Undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source. Lively directs the quote to the cited source. Next, as negative sentiment toward Lively accelerated. Baldoni asked his PR team to confirm that it was not using bots or fake accounts to generate positive sentiment for him online. Abel and Nathan both confirmed that they were not using bots or fake accounts. Okay. Lively's response undisputed that on August 18th, 2024, after Baldoni noticed Instagram comments on random posts defending me by people who are private with no followers and feel like bots, he asked Nathan and Abel for confirmation that they were not using bots because doing so would feed into Lively's potential narrative. Nathan responded that they were not using bots because bots look fake to anyone, and that the other team is doing something very specific in terms of what they do. I know Jamie and Jed connected on this. Bots and fan accounts also run pretty organically by now with all the AI platforms and Google Analytics itself. There is no bot army. That's a myth these days. Any digital team these days is far more intelligent to utilize something so obvious. Baldoni replied, "Okay, thank you," with praying hand and heart emojis. Disputed that Nathan confirmed they were not using fake accounts. Okay. Next. On August 19th, 2024, Baldoni asked Nathan about the negative sentiment toward Lively online. He wrote, "This is not us, correct?" Nathan responded, "None of us would ever do this. There is this struggle where it's kind of maybe even unbelievable the way that people are turning against her. But they are, organically. It's organic. She's blown herself up by her own actions." Site's article describing Lively's past use of a transgender slur. This just ran. Obviously, none of us knew about this either. But once media goes in, they go in. You did not do any of these. We did not do any of these. This is all organic. Lively, undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source. Lively respectfully refers the court to the cited source. On August 27th, 2024, Baldoni privately discussed with Nathan that he had no intention to make Lively or anyone an outcast, and told Nathan he was praying for Lively and Reynolds. Lively. Undisputed that on August 27th, 2024, Nathan wrote to Baldoni that she knew it's not your intention either to make her or anyone an outcast, and that Baldoni responded that praying for them, Lively and Reynolds, has been helpful for his own trauma. Next. On August 27th, 2024, Baldoni wrote to Heath, Nathan, and Abel, "Definitely don't want to play stories and yet just want to change the narrative." Heath subsequently responded, "Let's stay the course and not react." Abel agreed, "We want to keep our participation with press to a min and keep steering the narrative into other things where we can." Lively. Undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source, but Lively respectfully refers the court to the cited source for its complete contents and disputes any summary or interpretation inconsistent therewith. The whole of the next point is redacted. Lively's response is the same, undisputed, but referring the court to the cited source. Next point is also completely redacted. Lively undisputed that in the cited redacted, but Lively respectfully refers the court to the cited source. The next point is entirely redacted. Lively undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source, refers the court to the cited source, and then specifically redacted. Next point again is also entirely redacted. Lively undisputed that the quoted language appears in the cited source, refers the court to the cited source, specifically plaintiff disputes defendant's characterization that redacted. Next. On August 15th, 2024, Sloan wrote to another gossip reporter asking him to change the wording of a headline about the feud between Lively and Baldoni. Redacted. After reviewing the article, redacted. Lively, disputed. The document defendant's site does not support that, redacted, but Lively respectfully refers the court to the cited source. The next point is entirely redacted. Lively. Undisputed that the quoted language appears in the source refers the court to the cited source. Then there's the next point is also entirely redacted. The reason these are all entirely redacted is because these are there's evidence. This is Ryan Reynolds, his documents that he produced via a document subpoena. This one is Leslie Sloan deposition transcript. These are all under seal. That is why all of this has to be redacted by Wayfarer. So 299 is redacted. Lively says undisputed that the quoted language appears, refers the court to the source. Again, same thing with the next point. Lively, undisputed that the quoted language, blah, 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 refers the court to the cited source. Next, during this period, defendants believed that Lively's press team was spreading negative information about Baldoni using bots. Then there's a chunk of stuff redacted. Lively disputed that the cited source supports defendants' assertion that defendants generally believed that Lively's press team was spreading negative information about Baldoni and using bots, all that redacted. Then it's undisputed language, refers the court to the cited source. Okay. Next, during this litigation, Lively responded to interrogatories seeking identification of the ways in which defendants supposedly seeded social media content to increase negative sentiment toward Lively. She's then put a footnote. Wayfarer, Abel, Nathan, and Tag propounded substantially similar interrogatories to Lively on this topic, and Lively provided substantially similar responses. Lively, undisputed. Okay. So, next. Okay. Nearly half the incidents Lively identifies are devoid of any negative content about Lively and merely claim that defendants either suppress content about Mr. Baldoni or enhance positive content regarding Mr. Baldoni. These include A. Baldoni's effort to focus his press and promotion for the film on the issue of domestic violence and to boost videos by others showing him promoting his film. B is redacted, C is redacted, D is redacted, E is redacted. F. Efforts to track social media comments that were supportive of Baldoni's account or doubted Lively's. G and H are redacted. Her response: disputed that the incidents identified in Lively's third amended responses to Wayfarer's second set of interrogatories make any claim regarding defendants. Disputed that nearly half the incidents Lively identifies in Lively's third amended responses to Wayfarer's second set of interrogatories are devoid of any negative content about Lively, given that efforts to circulate negative content about Lively were inextricably tied to inorganic efforts suppressing content about Baldoni or enhancing positive content regarding Baldoni. Such amplification, boosting, and similar efforts to affect the narrative to negatively affect Miss Lively resulted where such efforts were taken in relation to suppressing content about Mr. Baldoni or enhancing positive content regarding Mr. Baldoni in relation to the film or Miss Lively. Okay. Undisputed that Baldoni took an effort to focus his press and promotion for the film on the issue of domestic violence and to boost videos by others showing him promoting the film. Disputed the cited sources supports defendant's assertion that the cited context exclusively reflects Baldoni's effort to exclusively focus his press and promotion for the film on domestic violence. Okay. Disputed that Wayfarer Exhibit 221, a communication between Mitz Toskovich and Abel and Heath, which does not include Baldoni as a participant, reflects Baldoni's effort to focuses press and promotion for the film on the issue of domestic violence, or to boost videos by others showing him promoting his film. Undisputed that, redacted. Undisputed that, redacted. Undisputed that, redacted. Undisputed that, redacted, but disputed that any cited source other than Wayfarer Exhibit 227 reflects the express quoted language. Undisputed that, redacted, but disputed that the cited source does not express conduct that would have a negative effect on Lively. Undisputed that, redacted, disputed that the cited sources support defendant's assertion that claim was false. Undisputed that, redacted, disputed that the cited source supports defendant's assertion that redacted. Lively also points to incidents. So this is a new point. Lively also points to incidents in which certain defendants spoke to the press about Lively herself. None of these incidents involved sharing any factual falsehoods about Lively. Instead, they involved pointing out true facts about Lively or her husband's conduct, or sharing negative opinions of that conduct. Lively. Undisputed that in Lively's third amended responses to Wayfarer's second set of interrogatories, Lively points to incidents in which certain defendants spoke to the press about Lively herself. Undisputed that some of these incidents involve point out facts about Lively or her husband's conduct, or sharing negative opinions about Lively or her husband's conduct. Disputed that none of these incidents involved sharing any factual falsehoods about Lively, given that multiple placed Lively in a false light. Next one is entirely redacted. Lively disputed that Professor Aaron Carlotta concluded in his expert report that defendants redacted. Lively has not put forward any evidence to suggest the little bump video is not genuine. That's Kjersti Flaa's video from years ago. An interview with her and, oh God, I can't remember her name. Yeah, I can't remember her name. It's not important. So yeah, the New York Times picked this up and sort of implied that Kjersti was part of the smear campaign and had put that video out deliberately in an effort to smear Lively. So Wayfarer is saying Lively has not put forward any evidence to suggest the little bump video is not genuine, or that defendants had any contact with the reporter in the video, the reporter being Kjersti Flaa. Lively, undisputed, unbelievable. I've seen Kjersti's video that she did make contact with the New York Times to see if they, to invite them to apologize to her, and they respectfully declined, which is disgraceful. Okay, next. Sarowitz was not involved in the marketing of the film and did not review any of the marketing materials for the film created by Wayfarer Studios or Sony. Lively. Undisputed that Sarowitz testified that he did not review any of the marketing materials for the film created by Wayfarer Studios or Sony. Disputed that Sarowitz was not involved in the marketing of the film. Redacted. Sarowitz hosted a showing of the film at Wayfarer Theatres, which was styled as Lily Bloom's Flower Shop. Sarowitz personally gave an interview on the film on August 14th, 2024, and the rest is redacted. Next point. Sarowitz did not participate in any respect in any of the preparation in advance of Baldoni's interviews regarding the release of It Ends With Us. Lively undisputed that he did not participate in the preparation in advance of Baldoni's interviews regarding the release of It Ends With Us. Next, Sarowitz himself participated in certain interviews in August 2024, but did not do any media interviews in conjunction with the release of It Ends With Us in the first couple of weeks of August 2024. Lively undisputed that Sarowitz participated in certain interviews in August 2024, but disputed that Sarowitz did not do any media interviews in conjunction with the release of It Ends With Us. in the first couple of weeks of August 2024 as Sarowitz participated in an interview with Spotlight Chicago, WGN News on August 14th, 2024, on a segment entitled It Ends With Us, Pop-Up and Non-Profit Partnership. Okay. I mean, it's the 14th of August. Again, the statement was, did not do any media interviews in conjunction with the release of the film in the first couple of weeks. I mean, we're kind of right on the nose of the first couple of weeks and going into the second half. But fair enough, you do have to be precise. Okay, next. Sarowitz was not involved in hiring any PR team for Wayfarer. Lively disputed that Sarowitz was not involved in hiring any PR or crisis team for Wayfarer. And then there's stuff that's redacted. Further disputed that Sarowitz was unaware of and did not approve of hiring a PR or crisis team for Wayfarer, Baldoni, and its executives, given that he redacted. Next. Sarowitz was not asked his opinion on hiring the agency group before they were retained, nor did he vet the agency group before they were retained. Lively, undisputed that Sarowitz was not asked his opinion on hiring TAG before they were retained and did not vet them before they were retained, except to the extent that opinion or vetting took place in connection with Sarowitz's redacted as of August 14th, 2024. Next. Sarowitz also did not approve the hiring of street relations. He was not consulted before they were hired and was not involved in that decision. Lively, undisputed, Sarowitz did not directly approve hiring street relations before they were hired and was not involved in that decision, except to the extent that opinion or vetting took place in connection with Sarowitz's redacted. Further disputed that Sarowitz was unaware of and did not approve of the hiring of street relations and or Jed Wallace after the fact and during the retaliatory campaign against Lively. Next. There is no evidence that Sarowitz received or reviewed the scenario planning documents circulated by TAG prior to this litigation. Lively, undisputed except to the extent that Baldoni was unable to disclaim that Sarowitz's suggestion regarding flipping the script regarding Lively and her family was part of defendant's scenario planning. Next. There is no evidence that Sarowitz ever spoke with Jed Wallace or any employee of Street Relations prior to this litigation. Lively, undisputed that Sarowitz never spoke with Jed Wallace or any employee of Street Relations prior to this litigation, but disputed that Sarowitz never spoke with Jed Wallace or any employee of Street Relations during the retaliation campaign. Okay. In her interrogatory response, Lively has identified each instance in which the defendants purportedly spread negative information about her. The interrogatory response does not identify specific instance in which Sarowitz himself was involved in circulating any information about Lively whatsoever prior to this litigation, and only one instance in which he weighed in on press strategy concerning Lively. Disputed. It's disputed that Lively's third amended responses to Wayfarer's second set of interrogatories does not identify any specific instance in which Sarowitz himself was involved in circulating information about Lively whatsoever prior to this litigation, as he suggested, influencing the narrative with reference to Lively and her family, the subject of which was the direct cause of Baldoni circulating that information to Nathan. Okay, so the next point is entirely redacted. Lively, undisputed that redacted. Disputed that Sarowitz was suggesting factual corrections for accuracy rather than asking about flipping the narrative and using their own words against them to lead to the conclusion that Lively and Reynolds were scabs in attempt to influence the narrative against Lively and her family. Okay, Next point is redacted. Lively. Undisputed that redacted. Undisputed that Greenberg testified that redacted. Disputed that redacted. Next point is redacted. Lively. Undisputed except that redacted. Okay. Next is entirely redacted. Lively, undisputed as to the substance of Greenberg's testimony, but disputed as to whether the testimony accurately reflects the complete substance of the conversation between redacted. Then the following point is also entirely redacted. Lively, undisputed as to the substance of Greenberg's testimony, but disputed as to whether the testimony accurately reflects the complete substance of the conversation between redacted. Next point, Greenberg has no memory of Sarowitz mentioning ruining anyone's life. Okay. Lively. Undisputed as to the substance of Greenberg's testimony, but disputed as to whether the testimony accurately reflects the complete substance of the conversation between redacted. Okay. Greenberg recalls Sarowitz stated, I have lawyers, and in the event I need to, and this becomes a legal situation, I'm prepared to spare no expense. Okay, I still don't see any problem with that statement. I don't know why Lively's making fetch happen here. Her response, something's redacted, undisputed as to the substance of Greenberg's testimony, but disputed as whether the testimony accurately reflects the complete substance of the conversation between redacted. The next point is redacted entirely. Lively's response, undisputed as to the content of August 9th, 2024 text message and the substance of Greenberg's testimony. Disputed as whether the testimony accurately reflects the complete substance of the conversation between redacted. Okay, next. Fully redacted. These are all, again, these are redacted because these are Danny Greenberg's deposition testimony, which is still under seal. Lively's response, undisputed as to the content of the August 10th, 2024 text message and the substance of Greenberg's testimony, disputed as to whether the testimony accurately reflects the complete substance of the conversation between redacted. The next part is also redacted. Lively, same response, undisputed as to the substance of the testimony, but disputed as to whether the testimony accurately reflects the complete substance of the conversation between redacted. Sarowitz had a call with Claire Ayub on August 29th, 2024, which Ayub recorded illegally. Doesn't say illegally, that was me just providing context, as Lively likes to have context. Her response to the assertion that Claire Ayub recorded a conversation she had with Steve Sarowitz, undisputed. Next, during the conversation, Sarowitz stated the following: the end of this drama is simply that it is a drama. I'm done with it. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. You know, whatever is going to happen, whatever people want to think, they're going to think. I was worried about it at one point, and now I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may. If they like us, great. If they don't, they don't. We are who we are. Lively, undisputed. Next, he further stated that they went after everything we had. Luckily, I was out of it, so nobody mentioned me. That's because I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody, you know. Lively, undisputed. I hope she feels ashamed of herself for making him feel like a nobody. She won't, but she should. Okay. Next, he further stated Justin has never had a bad set. Yeah, it was the worst set he has ever been on, but no, it wasn't bad. I was there on set. It was, you know. Justin is really kind and loving, and he is like Rain. Actually, Rain is running the set. It's a Baha'i set. It's never going to be like that. No, everything was made up. It was manufactured, and it was manufactured on purpose in order to take Justin down. Lively, undisputed. Now, when it says undisputed, she's not admitting that what Steve Sarowitz is saying is true. She's admitting that Steve Sarowitz said it. I feel like that's really important, because I don't want people to say, oh my God, she admitted. No, she's not actually admitting that what he's saying is true. She's just admitting that the recording was of him saying that statement. Next, he also stated, I just know that for right now, it seems like Dante. And then if they persist, they push to the limits, we will go to court, and then it's all on me. Lively, undisputed. In response to a question by Ayub as to whether he meant protecting the studio, Sarowitz replied, I will protect the studio like Israel protected itself from Hamas. There were 39,000 dead bodies. There will be 2 dead bodies when I'm done, and so not dead, but but you're dead to me. So that kind of dead, but dead to a lot of people. If they ever get me to that point, then I will make it worth their while, because I'm going to spend a lot of money to make sure the studio is protected. But I don't think we will go there. Ayub replied, yeah, I hope not. And Sarowitz stated, that's not the world I want to live in. Okay. Now that one I do find more interesting. Lively does not dispute it. But she's not saying undisputed, but disputed as to, Sarowitz, meaning, Sarowitz asserting that he was protecting the studio. It is no caveat. It's just a flat undisputed. So, whereas before she's been a bit kind of pedantic about, well, okay, yes, I admit that, but, there's also no referring the court to the cited source or anything either. So it feels a little bit like she might be conceding that she wasn't, that the statement was about protecting the studio and not about destroying her and her family's lives. Okay. Sarowitz further stated that this is not going to go away. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. We will have to be defensive for years, because there will be stuff coming at us. I will be defensive for years. When Sarowitz said this, he meant that he would defend Wayfarer Studios. Lively, undisputed. Undisputed. Wow. So she's made a big fuss over what Sarowitz said, all to sit here now and say that, because that wasn't a quote, that line, when Sarowitz said this, he meant he would defend Wayfarer Studios. She has not come in and disputed this or referred the court to the source for context. She has conceded that point. She is undisputed. And the next one, Sarowitz further stated, if they ever cross the line ever, then I will go after them. Jamie at one point called me up and said, I think we're going to need you. And we have lawyers ready to go. We have our press people, our PR people working. Undisputed. Sarowitz further commented, you work with so many people and almost everybody is nice. And then there is Blake, who she is totally different than everyone. Not to say anything bad about her, but she is different. She is different. Blake, undisputed. Then there's something redacted, which is disputed. And the follow-up response to that is also, so it's disputed, and then the rest of Blake Lively's response is redacted. And then the next point is also fully redacted. Lively, undisputed as to the substance of Sarowitz's testimony, but disputed at this litigation, redacted. Next point is redacted in full, as is Lively's response. The next point is redacted in full, Lively, undisputed. The next point is redacted in full, Lively, undisputed, that redacted, and Lively respectfully refers the court to the cited source. Next, Redacted in full. Lively. Disputed. The evidence cited does not support defendant's assertion. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because in the next video, we're getting into Banzan. So stay tuned.